But Focus FMCG, Harsh Mariwala, Chairman and Managing Director of Marico, now joins us. Mr. Mariwala, morning. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Mariwala, 2011 was a tough year for the entire FMCG industry. Commodity prices, they went up. Marico issued an indirect profit warning. What do you see, or what to your mind are going to be some of the key monitorables for FMCG sector this year?
See, FMCG, as you know, is a defensive sector. So, by and large, we are continue to see growth. So even the third quarter growths are not bad compared to many other sectors. So there may be a marginal slowdown compared to the earlier quarters, but by and large, the FMCG sector is in good shape. The most important thing which is hitting the sector is high degree of inflation. The latest round of inflation is mainly because of the weakening of rupee, and a lot of our purchasing in terms of packaging materials or any other input to our finished products is related to crude. So if the crude remains static, but if the exchange rupee weakens, then automatically there's an impact of inflation on packaging and raw materials. So I think that's one key area which is impacting the FMCG sector. Going forward, I would say that FMCG, though it is a defensive sector, ultimately if the inflation is high, it has to some extent impact the overall purchasing power. And a lot will depend on whether are you making FMCG which are on day-to-day necessities, or are you making FMCGs which are aspirational level FMCGs, or FMCG which is more at a discretionary level. So to give one answer to that would be difficult, but in what segment of FMCG are present will drive growth. But by and large, the overall FMCG sector is will continue to remain in the defensive space, and it will continue to drive growth, albeit at a little slower rate.
Mr. Mariwala, do you see more outbound acquisitions from Indian consumer companies, or do you think there will be more consolidation within the Indian FMCG sector?
No, I think outbound acquisitions will continue, and some of the Indian companies which have been acquisitive, they will continue to be hungry and continue to drive acquisitions. So I think that journey will continue, I would say, in the year 2012.
Well, what about profits and margins for FMCG sector this year? Last year, because of high commodity prices, margins and profits for all companies which are part of the FMCG sector, they were under pressure.
I think a lot will depend on inflation. If the inflation is high, the profitability will be under similar kind of a situation as it is in this year. But if the inflation is controlled and it's at a much lower end, then we can see profitability going up.
Right, Mr. Mariwala, I mean, going forward, the largest company of the sector, that is Unilever, has raised their product prices recently, and we understand that some others, like P&G, are also planning to do the same in a few days. Are these signs of pricing power improving in the sector?
See, I think pricing power depends on how strong you are as a player, and if you are a very strong player, and how competitive is the sector. And if you don't have the threat of actually losing market share, then it's left to the market leader to decide when to increase prices. Many times it is not connected with pricing power, but basically the decision not to increase is to do more with getting volume growth. So I think it's not connected with pricing power, I would say. It is more connected with what is the organizational strategy in terms of fighting competition, in terms of growing volumes.
Mr. Mariwala, what will be Marico's focus this year? Consolidation, growth, or you only plan to focus on profitability with some brand launches?
I think clearly from our side we are saying that growth is most important to us. We need to drive volume growth, and the inflation growth is something which will occur because of inflation. But more importantly, volume growth for all our categories. We need to do organic as well as inorganic growth if there are opportunities available for acquisitions, and over a period of time the growth, the bottom line should match top line. So clearly the challenge is how do you manage inflation, how do you control costs, and how do you grow at the same time over a period of time, ensure that the profitability occurs in line with the top line growth.
Mr. Mariwala, finally, what are some of the key initiatives that you've outlined for your company for 2012?
See, as I mentioned to you earlier, we will continue launching new products. We launched 3 new products last year. We launched Parachute Body Lotion, we launched Parachute Ayurvedic Hair Oil, and we also have launched Savory Oats. So I think we'll continue doing that. We'll continue to launch more products. So, but beyond that, I can't share what we will launch. But clearly, growth will come from existing products, from newer products, newer geographies, existing businesses, and hopefully some new businesses which we acquire.